just two sluggers, but you're substantially more sophisticated than him, wouldn't you say?
Thanks, but mate, I just can't wait to get in there. I used to say I'm more sophisticated than him, you know. I know my skills, and once you get in there, it's a different story, you know. So it's more about concentration and everything. So if he's a slugger, you could get caught and everything. So it's all about staying focused and just getting the job done.
Can you differentiate, like in your memory, between the night where you were very, very focused and really sharp, and other performances where you're not quite as sharp?
My last one with Blakovic was when I watch it back, I was going for the knockout too much. I was too focused on the knockout. I was getting hit with jabs and everything, and I was like, fuck your jabs, fuck your jabs. I just want to land my big ones, and like that kind of looking back at it, that kind of cost me the fight, you know. Did
you watch Wilder versus Fury?
Yes.
Yeah, Wilder was doing that, right?
Yes.
When he finally catches him in the 12th, he was punching to where the head was going to be instead of punching tight where the head was.
At first, he was just doing the double jab right. I wasn't following up with the left hook after, so.
But I don't know if you've ever followed hockey where you're from, but Wayne Gretzky once famously said, when they asked why he was so good, he said, I would skate to where the puck was going to be, not where the puck was. And that's when you're looking for that knockout so hard, that's what you're doing.
Right? Yeah, that's it. But you know, it's all about experience, and then it's all about taking the positives from each fight, even if it was a loss. So that's what I've done.
Jimmy, when you look at Thiago Santos, this is a guy who started at welterweight, fought a lot at.
I just started welterweight.
Started at welterweight, fought a lot at middleweight. Do you feel like he has what it takes, the size and just everything like that, the power to be successful at 205 like this?
We'll see. We'll see. Last time he fought at light heavyweight, but it was Eric Anders who was coming up as well. So we'll see how he does against a natural light heavyweight this time. So
for you, does this feel kind of like a, I don't want to say make or break, but a little bit of a make or break fight for you for title contention?
A little bit, but to me, every fight is not a make or break, but every fight's a must win for me. And like, I'm not dwelling on the past, whether like one loss or two losses or whatever. I'm not dwelling on. I'm not living in the past and saying, oh, it's a must win or whatever. I must win this fight though.
Do you expect to be the much bigger man in there on Saturday?
I'm not worried about it. It's not always about the bigger man. Maybe when it comes to wrestling and stuff like that, but we ain't gonna be wrestling in there. We're gonna be banging out.
You do anything different for this camp, or has it just been the same business as usual?
Same business as usual. Each opponent we kind of tailor a little bit, some techniques to the opponent, but business as usual. But it's like I've done 2 camps for him.
Yeah, I was going to say, does that make it easier just because you had prepared for him before and you didn't end up playing?
Yeah, okay. Definitely. And thankfully, hamstring injuries don't take that long to heal. So I was surprised myself, because when they showed me the scan of how big the tear was, I thought, fuck, I'm going to be out for like months and that. But a couple of weeks after, 2-3 weeks after, I couldn't really feel it. We were still taking it easy and that, but I couldn't really feel it. So we started training and I accepted the fight.
Is that on your mind at all in this fight, the injury?
No way. No, it's not even been in my mind in sparring.
Okay.
And now on the pads and everything, I'm still kicking
Jimmy,
good on that.
Touch on something you said about how when you're in there, it's really about concentration. We spend so much time training to punch and kick and move our feet. Do you train focus and concentration? Is there a way to improve that skill?
We kind of tape our pad sessions and tape our sparring sometimes and that. So, you know, and where we got good coaches, when they're watching you spar and stuff, you're like, remember this and everything. So it's just about repetition and getting it right.
Jimmy, I know you said you were watching the Fury Wilder fight, and all of us saw that knockdown in the 12th round. You won almost all your fights by knockout. Have you ever caught an opponent with a clean shot like Wilder did, and then kind of seen them get back up in a surprising way? Has that ever happened to you in your fighting career?
No.
Jimmy knocks him.
One tough guy was Carl Kingsbury. He was my first UFC fight, and that kind of showed me the levels to all the people I'd been fighting before, because I've knocked everyone out and everything. And when I fought Carl Kingsbury, I kind of hit him with not quick clean punch about him with clean knees and a couple of other stuff and that, and he was still there. So, but the doctor stopped it. So.
We have the big light heavyweight title fight at the end of the month. Jones and Gustafsson, the rematch. Who do you think wins that one in terms of the rematch?
My teammate Alex. I'm rooting for him, and I think he's been out. He's been out of. When did he last fight? Was it last year?
Longer than
last
Jones.
year.
Yeah,
Was it longer than Jones?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
So maybe
Oh, I didn't know that.
How's he looking?
He's looking phenomenal. Looking phenomenal. I think technically he's the best in the world. He's good everywhere, and his cardio is through the roof, and I'm looking forward to the fight. I'm gonna do this fight and then go back into camp with him and finish off there. So I'll be there with him.
that rematch is one he's wanted for a long time.
Yeah.
Have you noticed an extra kind of step to his game, an extra like fuel to his fire in the gym? Just
100%, 100%. But he's always focused. But this time, this is the fight he's been waiting for. So he's like training like crazy.
I know you're focused on the fight this Saturday, Jimmy, but the UFC just recently announced you're coming back to London. I know that that's your hometown. Is the ideal situation to get a win on Saturday and then to be a part of that London card?
100%. It's not a UFC London without me on the card. So, but I'm not even thinking about that right now. I'm focused fully on Saturday.
How difficult have the last almost 2 years been for you?
The
past 2 years or so? Your last
alright.
win was...
It's been alright. It's been alright. I lost to Volkan and I lost to Blakovic. But I don't dwell in the past and that. I still training. I still got good people around me, good family and that, and that's it.
Jimmy, I mean, at this point, you've been in this game 10 years. Are there still big improvements you find that you can make in your game? Like, has your routine in the gym changed at this point over the course of?
Yeah, 100%. I'm still learning. I'm still learning in the gym every day. I haven't got a lot of mileage on the clock either. Might be 38, but I haven't had many wars in fights. I can think about, out of my 21 fights, I think I've had about 3 wars in there. So I can still make a lot of improvements, and I'm still learning every day.
I want to ask you about that then, because it seems like a lot of guys in the heavier weight classes can go a lot longer in their careers than the younger guys, or not the younger guys, but the lighter weight classes. Is that even like a conversation you've started to have with yourself in your head? You're 38.
I've always said I don't want to fight past 40.
Is that still
like kind of like DC? But yeah, I think I want to be done by 40. But it depends. We'll see when we get there.
Sure.
Does it surprise you that you're a bit of an underdog in this fight against a guy who has so little experience in the weight class? Do you feel you're being undervalued a little?
Never bet on MMA. Don't bet on MMA. Don't listen to the bookies, man.
Jim, talking about being 40 and having that many fights and stuff. Can you remember your first 1 or 2 fights and being in your
all
20?
of them. All of them.
Imagine being here now.
Do you know what? Before I started, I knew I was going to be in the UFC. The UFC is what got me started fighting, and I knew I was going to be in the UFC. Just had that determination. Within 2 years of picking up my first pair of boxing, like going to train, I was like British champion, and that's I always knew. Like when I was 5-0, I got offered. I think it was 6-0. I got offered to come to the UFC. I turned them down twice, and that's so I always knew I was going to be there.
Jimmy, with London being your hometown, do you feel at home here in Toronto? We got the Queen on the $20 bill. We've basically copied their government system. Like, does this feel like home?
I'm far away from but you know what, it's a beautiful city. I didn't really think I've never been to Canada, and I wasn't expecting much, but driving through and everything and seeing the city and everything, it seems like a beautiful city.
Close enough.
How mentally prepared are you for this Saturday night, Jimmy, for the fight?
Mentally I'm fine. I'm raring to go.
Yeah, how do you like Toronto and the culture while you're here?
It's a lot different than I thought it'd be. I see a lot of it's very mixed and everything. I even noticed that in the airport coming through. It's very mixed and everything. It's good to see.
Last question about Alex. It feels as though John Jones is very I don't want to say dismissive of Alex and maybe most of the light heavyweights in the division. Do you get that sense? And I guess, is the world in for a surprise?
I think he knows deep down that Alex's is going to be a tough fight. He might be saying what he's saying, but he knows it's going to be a tough fight. But being dismissive of the rest of the division, he is the best, and he is one of the best to ever do it. But you know, you can never underestimate anyone, especially in the UFC.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thanks very much, Joe.
That is?
Yeah.